And welcome to the show, everybody. I got to tell you, do you believe in heart-centered leadership? It's kind of a newer thing. The old folks don't get it, but hopefully new leaders are getting it a little bit better. And so we're going to be talking with Lauren Wu, and her website, Rochelle, is?
Her website is heartledleadership.org so that you can follow along with our conversation as we welcome her in.
And you're listening to Positive Talk Radio with Kevin and Brechelle, and we'll be right back after this. There is a moment in every life when you decide to rise, to stand taller than your fear, to speak louder than your doubt, to chase the vision that sets your soul on fire. This is that moment, and here we walk it together with stories that awaken, voices that inspire, and truths that set you free. This is Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where hope has a voice, and that voice is yours. And welcome to the show, everybody. We are so excited to have Lauren Wu with us, and she has got a website which is called, Rochelle?
Heartledleadership.org is where to go.
Very good. And Lauren, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. How are you both?
We are just really cool, and I'm excited about this show because, I love leadership and I love heart-centered leadership because in my world, I don't think there's any other way to do it. What do you think?
I mean, I personally agree, especially because I've definitely been around leaders who did not lead from their heart. And I personally felt the repercussions of that, saw what that led to. And I personally think the world will be a better place if we'd all led from our heart. So I'm here for it and here to help explain it away and here to promote it and here to sing it from the rafters.
Well, because not only are you're a lawyer by trade, but you're also a speaker, and you talk to people about a bunch of different things, and we'll go get into it as we go. But Rochelle, have you got a thought or a question to begin?
Yes. Lauren, I'd love to know, what is heart-led leadership to you?
Yes. So I created the framework for HEART, which is humanity, environment, alignment, resilient, and trust. And when you put all that together, that for me is heart-led leadership. So humanity talks all about the individual, and you can't have heart-led leadership without thinking about the individual that you're impacting, right? The environment. It is so important that the environment that we create at work, at home even, because there is leadership at home, and we forget that sometimes. The environments that we create need to be conducive to not only the individual, but also to the work that we're doing and to leadership itself. Alignment. Are the values that we're perpetuating, are the values that we say we value, are they in line with what we're rewarding, with what we say we want? Because too often we reward crises. We reward the people who are actually maybe not exhibiting the best behaviors, when we should be rewarding the problem solvers. We should be rewarding the people who are in the background doing the quiet work. Resilience. Now, I don't mean resilience like the person who pushed the hardest, the person who came back. That's not the type of resilience I'm talking about. I'm talking about resilience like the person who stopped the problem from becoming a problem. That's the type of resilience that we need to be working towards, and trust, because ultimately we can't have proper leadership without trust. And for me, that's what truly leading from the heart means. That plus a little bit of authenticity and empathy, and we've got heart-led leadership going.
Beautiful.
Why do you think it is that so many quote unquote leaders have problems with that whole concept?
I'll tell you, I really do believe that we have this concept built in our minds that power structures, which ultimately we equate with leadership, comes from this authoritarian background. And whether that's just because of how we were raised or what we see on television and in media. I don't know exactly. Research shows that too often it's these kind of heteronormative cisgender male figures, unfortunately, that's the type of leadership model that most people think of. Well, in actuality, when we step outside of that typical genred leadership model, we actually get more successful, more participatory work. We get more efficiency. We actually get better work product, and we get more sustainable performance, less burnout, and frankly, we get happier workers. And I think that the struggle is because it seems harder to listen to your empathy and to be authentic when in fact it's actually easier. It's easier to be your authentic self because you're not actually having to fight this additional strain of being something you're not. Does that make sense?
100%.
It does indeed. And, you reminded me of a story, and this is what I'll entitle my good old boy story.
I can't wait to hear this.
I was working for a food service company, and the general manager, he was a single guy, and he liked to go out to bars after he would get done with work. And I was talking to my immediate boss who worked for him, and one day, and he said, "Oh man, I got to tell you, I'm in trouble at home." And I said, "Why are you in trouble at home?" And he said, "Because the boss makes me go out and drink with him every night, and I get home late because I want to be part of the good old boys club so that I can grow my career, but my wife ain't having any of it." And because now she's feeling like she's been sidelined by this guy who he's got nothing else to do. And then, of course, one day he came to work and he had this gash on the side of his head because he drank too much and fell down and hurt himself. But there's a lot of that goes on, isn't there?
There truly is. And I mean, I've seen it in legal counsel's offices. I won't name names, but like I've definitely seen it.
Especially legal counsel. You don't want to.
I mean, code of silence for sure, right? And it's really unfortunate, but you have this culture of drinking sometimes that kind of gets said that's how you network, that's how you socialize, that's how you do this. That goes on with this whole structure of like what we think leadership means, what this image of how you succeed. Well, that's not heart-led leadership, because that person that felt that they had to change their livelihood or change their life in order to get this livelihood, like that's unfortunate because that's not heart-led, right?
Oh yeah, and he didn't enjoy it,
No.
and also he didn't include the people that reported to him as far as that goes as well either. So it was dysfunctional functionality. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think that's another good point, right? I love that you brought that up, that the team was excluded, although I feel good for the team because they were probably very grateful to be excluded. I know I would have been, but, I think that that's a really huge part, right? Because if it had been a healthier situation where their inclusion would have helped their careers in a healthier environment, one that would have built trust, one that would have built kind of an opportunity for collaboration and participation, that would have been really detrimental for their careers and would have eliminated or reduced trust. So that would have shown really poor leadership. And that's very unfortunate, not only for your friend, but for the company more generally.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the other sad thing, Rochelle, is that because women were excluded from the good old boys club, they had a much tougher time breaking the glass ceiling, as it were, to attain the leadership position that they were entitled to, but they couldn't get because they weren't part of the good old boys club, if you know what I mean.
I mean, you could have fun with that. You could dress up, put a top hat on, take a water bottle full of water and tell them it's vodka. You know,
True.
there's got to be a way around that. But it's this, Kevin talks a lot about inauthenticity, this integrity. And I think the biggest thing that comes to mind that I'm really starting to engage with when it comes to leadership is this integrity, because who you are as a person and how you were talking about, Lauren, your value system, and just literally who you are as a person, and how we see that sometimes we get into those frames of work that we think we want, and they change our values, which starts to change who we are. It changes our home life, and it projects, but it doesn't have to be negative. Sometimes it can happen in such a positive way because it's coming from a place of integrity from each individual heart-led person, because that one leader who's teaching that is also creating that in each person, right?
Creating that safe space. And you talk about authenticity. I was once given feedback at one of the places I worked that I was too happy. And I remember thinking to myself, one, I don't quite know how to fix that. And two, I don't know that I want to, because one, you hired me as this happy person because I'm always this way. And two, you know, you're not complaining about my work product. So what's the problem? Clients love me. As far as I know, like, I'm generally well liked at this particular company. It was a law firm at the time, this law firm. So again, what's the problem? Now, I do hypothesize that this well-meaning partner was trying to actually save me from what is likely the reviews of potential male colleagues and partners thinking that I was unprofessional or unlawyerly in my approach to the law, because I came across as very different from the rest of maybe the associates at this law firm in some ways. And I appreciate that. However, I decided not to change who I was in order to fit in, and ended up making my brand of happy-go-lucky, kind of quirky lawyer into kind of a renowned brand of privacy and compliance. And now, I mean, I've given privacy trainings in costume. I mean, people know me for that, right? I'm currently pitching a really cool seminar where I'm comparing wine to privacy programs. Like, this is the kind of stuff that I'm known for, and people love it. And if I had changed myself then, I wouldn't be the lawyer or confident in the lawyering skills that I have now or in my brand. And so in a way, I almost owe that partner a lot, because I had to make a decision then and there about who I authentically was. And I'm glad I decided to double down. But I have to admit, as a young lawyer, it was a risk. And I'm very fortunate that my work product spoke for itself.
That's amazing.
You know, there's a reason. Oh, go ahead, Rochelle.
No, just thank you for sharing that. That's simply amazing. That's a perfect example.
Well, I was going to say there's a reason why law firms get to have a TV show, because there's a lot of intrigue and there's a lot of backstabbing and there's a lot of one-upmanship or one-womanship and all that kind of stuff. And so the intrigue, I can only imagine how the intrigue is if the leadership at the top allows it to happen. Would that be true?
Yes, there definitely is. Although I have to say, I love that law firm to this day. Like, some of my dearest friends still work there, and I love all the law firms I have worked at. And like, don't let one bad piece of feedback make you determine that a place is bad necessarily. However, if it becomes systematic, if it becomes continual, remember that not all rooms are rooms you belong in, and not every room deserves your leadership, right? So we have to remind ourselves to really reflect on, is this one individual or is this a system? And for me, it was just one individual.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're talking with Lauren Wu and Burchell. We've got a ton of stuff to talk about including her website and how to get a hold of her.
Yes, which is heartledleadership.org. She's got all of her information there and ways that you can contact her. And when we come back from this break, don't go anywhere because we're going to dive a little bit deeper.
Well, and I got to tell you, she's got different speaking things that she talks on, like still here, still working, authentically you. And my favorite one, which is an Elton John song, I'm Still Standing, and the human advantage and workshops and one-on-one coaching, executive coaching packages. She's got it all, and she can help you join, I don't know, maybe the 21st century. It would be kind of nice if people wanted to join, because and we need to talk about this, Lauren, when we come back. But people are changing. The workforce is changing. The expectations are changing. What people will put up with ain't what they used to be putting up with and stuff. So can we talk about that when we come back?
Let's do it.
We'll be right back. Here's another point to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. What is the easiest thing to justify? It is a small transgression. The one no one will ever see, no one will ever know. The tiny exaggeration on the expense report. The extra minute you took on your lunch break. The packaging you tossed in the wrong recycle bin because it was closer. In those moments, the question isn't, will I get caught? The question is, will I know? It isn't about avoiding punishment. It's a silent agreement you make with yourself when you choose to do the right thing, to return the wallet, to fix the mistake, to respect the empty space. You aren't impressing the world. You're earning your own respect. That small choice, made entirely in private, is how you build a life you never have to look away from. The only audience that matters is you. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin McDonald, and Rochelle is right there. Rochelle, I got a question to ask you. Have you ever heard, and then we'll ask Lauren, but have you ever heard of something called situational integrity?
Yes. No one's ever defined it, though. I will say that.
Well, I thought I just made that up. But Lauren, situational integrity, what does that mean to you?
I would say for me, situational integrity would be understanding what is going on around you and having the integrity to understand not only that you are in that moment and you need to align your values with that moment, but also aligning that moment with your broader values, right? So I love that last clip that you were just running. And in that moment, right, does that situation, that returning that $100 bill, that vote that you cast, whatever that moment is that aligning with your broader life value? For me, that's situational integrity.
Yeah.
Why do some people think that integrity at work is different than integrity in their life at home?
You know, I would never understand that because as a lawyer, we are bound by ethics. I know people find that laughable, but I don't. We are bound by a code of ethics. We have to actually take an ethical course and then test.
Yeah.
And then part of our ethical obligation is to do a certain amount of pro bono work every year. Not all lawyers do it. I'll be really honest with you, but I take those obligations quite seriously. And it is a very important part of my personal ethics to volunteer my time, whether that's mentoring children in STEM at local high schools, which I have 2 or 3 different mentees depending on the year at local high schools, whether that's volunteering at my children's schools or a combination, whether that's sitting on boards of nonprofits, which I have several that I sit on boards of, you know, finding different ways to give back to the community. All of those things are things I value in life. I take those values with me into work. So I work in healthcare. And every decision I make, even though I'm only a lawyer, I know might impact a patient's life. And that life has other lives depending on it. And so even a side conversation that I have could impact someone. And I really take that seriously and try to put myself in the position of a patient, in the position of a government regulator, in the position of the husband, the wife, the child of a patient every single time I'm in a room making a business or legal decision. And I really encourage people to not separate those values no matter what they're doing, because you shouldn't be making different value judgments. You should be bringing your heart, your personal values to work in a real way. Now, if they're going to be detrimental to your work for some reason, I invite you to ask yourself why that would be the case. Because for me, my values would actually make me a better lawyer. And if that's not the case for you, then I think that deserves some self-reflection.
Yeah.
By the way, Rochelle, do you know what she just said? She just said, I'm only a lawyer.
No.
Yeah, did you catch that?
Well, I joke all the time, I'm not smart enough to be a doctor, a scientist, or a researcher in healthcare. I'm only smart enough to be a lawyer and help them facilitate the creation of life-saving drugs. So I am just here to help them get the drugs and medical devices to market. That's my job.
She just does that. It's nothing, Kevin. It's like you just wake up and we're going to go do that too, because it's just nothing. No.
And did you catch what she said at this last part? I'm just a poor lawyer that helps put life-saving drugs to market.
For this person and that person and this and that and this and that, like everything that saves and runs the world. Yeah, I'm just kind of help facilitating that, but it's just that. No biggie. No. Lauren. Wow. Okay.
I consider it such an honor. I've wanted to be a lawyer since I was 5 years old. So to do this work is just a blessing. And unfortunately, I'm actually out on medical leave right now, so I'm not able to do the work that I was called to do, which is why I'm doing the keynote speaking and executive leadership coaching while I'm trying to get healthy, because it's what my health condition allows me to do. But to be called to be a lawyer and to have the privilege of doing that has been a life's blessing of mine. So I think that's very kind of you both.
You're welcome.
Well, and I will tell you from my perspective that your life is a journey. And every part of that journey it's kind of like building blocks when I was in kindergarten. Nowadays they teach writing and reading in kindergarten. In my day, it was naps and playing with blocks. That's what we did in the 60s. And so, but your life is a block upon block, an experience upon experience, and over time, it's going to give you the life experience that you wanted before you even got here. So everything happens for a reason, in my opinion. And I hope that you're feeling better and are doing well.
Thank you. I wouldn't have been able to be on this podcast even 2 months ago. So I am doing the best I've been in 2 years. And I am just grateful every day to be alive. And truly thankful to my care team, thankful to my amazing family who have just been such an incredible resource and support and loving and so wonderful. So yes, I agree with you. I think every season of life has its challenges and unique parts, let's say.
Yeah.
Well, and you're going to continue to grow and become more than just a lawyer. I'm sorry, I'm not going to let that go, am I, Rochelle?
You don't have to. I love being teased. I think that's the ultimate love language is to tease someone you care about. So there you go. I'm just taking it all in stride. I like it.
Well, and I tell Rochelle this all the time, and I'll tell you, I love your energy. I love your spirit. I love your smile. You are an amazing human being, and you're working to give back and to help others lead from the heart, not from the head, and not from the ego as much as it is compassionate and heart-centered leadership. Isn't that the way to go, Rochelle?
Yeah, I mean, if you're consistently doing that, there's consistent change. And this is something I wanted to ask you about, Lauren, because a lot of time in leadership and with certain things going on, as we talk with people, it's in the change that seems so difficult. But when there is that heart-led leadership space that is within a company, the change is exciting and it's very open. Like the space just feels a little more free, and you see that they get to be how they are, right? They come from home, and whatever they're dealing with or whoever they are and why they're going through that, they don't have to just leave that and be like, oh, okay, well, I can't think about any of who I am in my life. I've got to go to work. So when you have a community of all these people and they're understanding of change because it's happening in their life too, is it important to use that as momentum, or is it more, do you try to make sure that it's a little more structured so that everybody's on the same page type of thing, or is there harmony in the two?
I love this question. I think it's a little bit of everything you just said. So the H in heart stands for humanity. And within human beings, we are constantly changing. I mean, I just told you my story. So what I didn't tell you is that I spent 9 months of my first 2 years recovering in a wheelchair. I had to relearn how to read. A lawyer having to relearn how to read. I still don't type as well as I used to. Thoughts sometimes are slow coming to me. I know it doesn't always seem like that right now, but believe it or not, I am processing this podcast slower than I used to. And it is hard and humbling. And so when I return to work, when I go on podcasts, right, I'm coming as a new human. If this was a work setting and Kevin was our boss, right, I would expect Kevin to be leading with heart and understanding that I am a changed person. And so our work product together would need to change. I would need accessibility access. I would need tools to help me be the full person that I can be, whether that's AI tools, whether that's other accessibility implements, whether that's a change schedule, whatever that looks like. And then for you as my team member, I might need less video meetings, right? I might need more time outside. I don't know exactly what those accommodations would be. And then together, we would think, wow, change is an opportunity for all of us to change our environment, which could be an opportunity for us to think things differently. And change can be a wonderful way for all of us to think through efficiencies, to think through scale, to think through how we can participate better. And again, change is opportunity, not necessarily negative, right? I know change can be scary for a lot of people, and that's because a lot of people have suffered trauma in their life, and that trauma has been triggered by change. And I totally respect and understand that. That being said, they can participate in that change by saying, hey, I'm not ready to jump from meeting virtually to no meeting virtually. I need something more iterative.
Yeah.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That's part of the participation, right? And so we make these communal decisions together. And that's where the alignment really needs to come in, right? And the trust needs to be there so that we're all in this together. We're all working together. And then the resilience that comes in. I know I'm kind of doing the heart framework slightly out of order, but the resilience is that then we've developed a new framework together that will allow us to get to the next part of where we're going on our pathway as a team. And we've done it together as a team. It hasn't been, oh, Lauren Wu caused us to all change. It's no, we changed together as a team and now we're all stronger.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that. And it just brings me back to how thankful I am for Kevin's leadership, because we go through a lot of change literally every day. in everything that we're doing. And there's also this beautiful flow in it because we check in with each other, and Kevin will go to each one of us individually. He'll have us communicate with each other. He'll have us share ideas, but he'll also pull us aside and say, hey, I need to know how you feel about this, or, opening that space for somebody to talk about how they feel that they are available to show up, because so many times leaders are putting things on people that they're not ready to do, or maybe don't feel like they have what they need for whatever reason. And without us understanding that, we're giving them something they literally cannot fulfill, and that doesn't get anybody anywhere. So Kevin, just thank you for being that person. And it's an even bigger reason for us to be able to engage in our lives and love what we do here at work, because it's all tied together. We're not separating and wearing different hats depending on what we're doing. We just get to wear different hats when we want throughout the day.
That's awesome.
And how many hats do you have? You got a bunch, I know. And by the way, we're talking with Lauren Wu and Rochelle. Her website again is
heartledleadership.org is where to go. And Kevin, you mentioned that she helps people actually do this through some coaching. So let's talk about that when we come back.
Absolutely, because I'm here to tell you, if you are an old school dude and you want to do it the old school way, I got bad news for you. There's a whole different breed of cat coming, and the employees today and the younger people, they ain't gonna put up with your shenanigans for long, because there are more heart-centered leaders that are coming all the time. And by the way, that's a better way to be. It's a lot more fun to run a heart-centered company than it is to be a dictator and to demand folks do everything a certain way, because change is inevitable. Change just happens, and you got to be willing to flow with it. And Rochelle, also, when we come back, I want your take again. I love the way that you frame this on surrender, and we're gonna talk about that with Lauren and the work that she does and how she can help your company become, I don't know, like part of the 21st century. That would be really good. And maybe you can lower turnover, which, by the way, when you lower turnover, you raise your productivity. When you raise your productivity and you lower your turnover, all of that drops to the bottom line. Have I piqued anyone's interest in the bottom line yet? We're going to talk about that when we come back. So we'll be back in like a minute and 5 seconds. Stay with us, everybody. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio Network. We're on a mission to entertain, enlighten, empower, and educate through inspiring music, dynamic conversations, and yes, laughter. Join me, Kevin McDonald, and Rochelle as we declare our freedom from hate, division, and fear, and celebrate a better way of living. Go to positivetalkradio.net to find out more. Here are some points to ponder from Positive Talk Radio. Some say leadership is about getting the work done, about pushing forward, no matter the cost. But what's the cost of a team with no purpose? What if a single act of support, a single moment of genuine grit could change everything? What if leadership was a catalyst? Because true leadership isn't about being in control. It's about empowering others to find their purpose. It's about leading with passion and igniting the fire in everyone around you, creating a culture of teamwork and common purpose. A true leader finds this culture by enthusiastic purpose and team development, making each team member feel empowered to create, improve, and execute their tasks with genuine passion and a strong belief in the company's mission and focus. In other words, lead with purpose. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin. Rochelle's right there, and Rochelle's going to introduce our guest of this hour.
Yes, we are honored to have Lauren Wu with us here today. Follow along with our conversation and all of her information, which is on her website at heartledleadership.org. And I want to touch a little bit on, Kevin, what you mentioned something. I had like 14 things going through my head. Remind me.
That's a lot of stuff.
I know. Well, when I first met her, she was like scattering all over the place. And so I think that still is there. And I just tell her, just let it be, the gospel according to Paul McCartney. Just
There you
let it
go.
be.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you to give us, because surrender is, if when you surrender control and realize change is going to happen and controlling everything is not within your ability, surrendering that gives you what?
Control. Lauren, I wonder what it would change in an entire community of and culture of a company if everybody individually realized that if they were to surrender, they now would gain full control, because they would realize then in that moment the only thing they could control was them. What do you think of that?
I mean, it's very profound and meta, not like Meta the company, but meta the concept. I'm gonna steal that word back and go back to its origins. I love that, and I love the concept of surrendering. It's actually something that I think about as a grounding tool, like surrendering to the moment, surrendering to, the person I am today, surrendering to a lot of things. So I love that concept. I think that as a company, if one were to surrender individually, you would see a lot more ego agnostic behavior, which would not necessarily be heart-led, right? Because I do think that there is an element of individualness that needs to be there, that you need to be aware and present to lead with the heart, right? But at least with this surrendering, you would open yourself up to allow yourself to lead from the heart.
Yes.
If that makes sense. It's almost like the surrender is the first step.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in a way of gaining control of yourself, in that sense of, that's when integrity kicks in. That's when authenticity blooms. That's when you allow yourself to really be, and where you can catch problems before they are a problem, or, it brings in that space where it's actually opening the door rather than most of us thinking we're closing it.
I love that. And it's, I love what you had just said too about, the catching problems. I think so often we're so worried about being blamed. And rightfully so, right? Because I think work has created this culture of, oh, well, if you mess up and you get caught, you might be fired. I mean, I certainly see it in my kids, right? Like, oh, don't tell mommy I'm the one that did the thing, because then I'm gonna get trouble, right? So I can understand and certainly relate to it, but where is the accountability in that? And if we get rid of our egos, if we're just able to take accountability by surrendering to it and just saying like, hey, I did that. Here's the rationale. Here's why. Take the ego out of it. Then we're all in it together, because we're not thinking of the self, we're thinking of the group, right? We're surrendering to the group, to the better of the company in general. But here's the thing. That only works if the system is in place to protect, and if the individuals are there and can trust that they will be protected. And I think that's what's unfortunately lacking, is that the systems are not necessarily there to protect the individual if they do surrender, and if they do kind of come forward with that earnestness. And that's what we need to create.
Because I would think if I were to go tell somebody when I made a mistake, like Kevin, I'll tell him, guess what I did? Oh my gosh. I usually don't tell him I made a mistake. I'm just like, oh my gosh, guess what I did? And it allows for there to be growth and also respect. So it's crazy, because if we would think of common sense, oh, well, I need to tell my boss because I made that mistake, when that actually seems to backfire on you, is like literally the problem in itself, right? It just shouldn't be that way.
I agree. And so, as I'm going to put my compliance lawyer hat on here and my privacy lawyer hat. we always tell people, report any incident, report any issue you see or any question you have. And we're going to come at it not from an accusatory stance. Like, we are not here to police the company. That is not our job. Our job is to come at it from a place of curiosity. Like, oh, okay, so this happened. Well, what else happened? How can we learn more? Oh, you want to do this activity? Okay, well, why do you want to do that? That sounds really interesting. That could be really cool. Let us help you figure out a way to do that the right way.
Yeah.
Or if that is the right way, let us help celebrate you and help you, right? When incidents occur, because especially in privacy, they inevitably do, our first reaction is not, oh, you messed up. Oh, like you're in trouble. It's, okay, great. Let's help uncover the facts. Let's help contain the problem. Let's find out what we can find out, and let's start getting things in line so that we can ensure that the individual's data that may be impacted are protected as much as possible. And then we can notify the proper authorities. Right. And again, it's that openness that we try to create so that people do feel comfortable coming to us. The instant we turn into the authoritarian figure that's like, oh, you messed up and now it's going to impact you, we lose trust. No one will report to us.
Yep.
And I think if leadership took that same tone, it would be really helpful. And that's one of the reasons I've cultivated the personality that I've cultivated in my practice. Is people are a lot more likely to come to me if I'm friendly, if I'm doing privacy training in a superhero outfit or in a Renaissance outfit. They're not going to be like, wow, Lauren's a cop. They're like, oh, I remember the Renaissance lady. She said I should go tell her if there's a privacy incident. Okay. Right? Like, they're a lot more likely to come to me. So, yeah.
So you have a cop uniform, do you?
Okay. So we actually, at one of the companies I was at, we did film a privacy music video. It is awesome. We included colleagues from around the globe. And there was a second video that was cop themed. That was also very awesome. We had an amazing compliance and privacy team. It was truly magical, and we had a lot of fun together.
I've never heard of anything like that in that kind of work.
We, again, if you approach these practices in a way that makes them accessible and sticky, and this concept of stickiness, I forget the author who wrote about this, and I wish I could remember the name of the author, but it actually makes it so that people are more likely to remember it, first of all, and second of all, they're more likely to come to you. Like, if your lawyers inside the company are like, look, we're approachable, we're cool, like, we're willing to make fun of ourselves and also be open to you. And by the way, we're smart as heck and know our stuff better than most people do. Like, we've checked every box, but we're also nice. Come visit us, right? I mean, that's like the ultimate invite.
It's an enjoyable experience.
It's an enjoyable experience. Yeah. And by the way, we are fun to drink with, but we won't force you to drink with us.
There you go. Just come hang out.
You just said several things that just in the common world don't make any sense. A lawyer, nice? That's a conflict in terms, isn't it?
And what's really great is my favorite animal is also the shark. So insert your favorite lawyer joke here, right? Like, they write themselves, Kevin.
Yes, they do. And my philosophy, and just as an aside, my philosophy is there are two types of sins. There's one of omission and one of commission. Mm-hmm. If you make a mistake and you were trying to do the right thing, only it just didn't work out, that is a sin of omission because you didn't make it. If you are doing something that Employee theft would be a good one, or spreading gossip, or doing so. If you do that and it hurts the morale of the team and it hurts the other individuals, and when it hurts the other individuals, it hurts the company as a whole and its cohesiveness working together. That becomes to me, that's a big deal. What do you think?
I think that's right. For me, I truly believe most people are at work to do the right thing. I genuinely believe that. I know that sounds very strange to hear from a lawyer, but like every company I have worked for, every law firm I have worked for, I genuinely believe people are there to do the right thing. It is the odd person out that is truly trying to do the wrong thing. Now, it does happen that someone with the best intention occasionally does the wrong thing. And oftentimes it's in the cover up of that wrong thing where the wrong things keep occurring. And so
I'm not a crook.
Right. And so my advice to everyone is, if you're going to do something and it goes wrong, go to your lawyer, say, hey, I did this thing. I really meant well. It didn't go well. I think I accidentally broke a policy, or I think something went bad, and I didn't mean for that to happen. Just be forthright. Don't try to cover it up. That's where things go really bad. And ultimately, you most likely will be okay. It's the cover up piece that's going to actually do the harm and will look really bad from an HR and compliance perspective. That initial like accidental or in an unintentional compliance policy violation, oftentimes you can just be like, hey, please don't do this again, unless it's extremely severe and like intentional. But it's that cover up piece where it's like, oh, you knew you messed up, and then you tried to hide it because now we're breaking a lot of rules, right? It's that piece that's bad. And I do think that sin of omission, right? Like if someone were to ask you like, hey, did you do this thing? And then someone's like, nope, I didn't. Or yes, I did, but I didn't do the thing you're telling me. That can be just as bad sometimes.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to tell you something, Lauren, that you're looking at somebody who is pretty famous. I have the distinction of never having anything happen. Now, this is even better, Michelle. When I was in the restaurant business, I was an assistant manager at Denny's. I come in at 3:00 in the afternoon. The health inspector is there. And the health inspector tells the general manager and me, that we're the only two management people there. They said, we're closing you down.
Oh, goodness.
Now, this is a 24 hours restaurant that never closes.
Oh, my granny loved Denny's, by the way. Like, loved Denny's. So I am well aware of what a Denny's is. Like,
we couldn't even find the key to the front door. It had been so long. So we could try and hide it, but no, we were honest about it. And the district manager came, and of course we all expected to get fired, but then as it turns out, it was more of a training issue. We didn't know that having raw chicken on top of cooked chicken was a bad thing to do.
We did the same thing.
Oh my God, salmonella! Like, okay, come on. Like, I'm an amateur chef at home, and I know that. Come on.
Well, I never went into the walk-in because the cooks, that was their job.
If there's raw chicken, like,
you could probably smell it from outside.
Yes, it was. So I have never heard of another Denny's that ever got closed down by the health department, and so.
It's really good to hear, Kevin. Me and my grandma ate at all the Denny's around this entire city, so.
Oh my God.
Well, we had the distinction of doing that, and so, but that was, just it just happened. But it's important. By the way, we're talking with Lauren Wu and Rochelle. Her website and all her information again is
Yes, heartledleadership.org is where to go. She's got about her, speaking lists, writings, and musings. What is that? We've got to know. But if you need help, even with yourself, and maybe know where to engage and what to look for and where to go when it comes to the workforce, and whether you're at the top and whether you're the janitor and you see that you or the company could use a little bit more, go for it. Just do it.
Oh, and by the way, Rochelle, you said first job and bus ride. What did you mean by that?
Well, those are kind of like these things we call points to ponder that I thought would be amazing to close the show out with.
Oh, very, very, I get it now. Yeah, yes, indeed. And by the way, I would love to play these for you real quick, and because one of them, my team created this because I drove a bus for 12 years, and so they just had to do this. So let me play this for you real quick. Here's another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. Driving a bus taught me something powerful. Every day, people from all walks of life stepped on board. Some were cheerful, some were tired, some were lost in thought. Yet no matter where they came from, the bus still moved forward. Life is the same. We all ride together. And kindness is the ticket that makes the journey lighter. You're listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. Here is another point to ponder by Positive Talk Radio. A young man working his very first job sweeping floors. At first, he felt unimportant until his boss told him, if you take pride in small things, big things will follow. Every role matters, every step counts, and every effort builds the path ahead. You are listening to Positive Talk Radio, where stories of hope live. And welcome back to Positive Talk. My name is Kevin, and Rochelle's right there. And Lauren Wu, what do you think of our little program so far? Are you having a good time?
I'm having a great time. And those clips were so good. I love them. Oh my goodness.
You reminded me so much of both of them because you're bringing in this, we are all one, no matter where we come from or whatever it is, we can come in a space together and be whole as a company and a business. That's not really heard of. And then when it comes to, wherever your position is, you matter in the company. And I think we miss that part a lot. We only look at certain people with certain titles, but what about the person behind the desk who's worked 13 hours that day because they're trying to finish something that is beneficial to the company, not just to themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think lawyers get a bad rep of being kind of super elitist and aloof. I mean, I certainly felt that at some of my law firm gigs. Sometimes there was that air of importance at times from certain lawyers, not all. I would never paint all lawyers with the same brush or even all law firms with the same brush. But for me, I just think that, each of us plays a role no matter where we are. And the company only survives and works if we all work together. Yeah. So how can any one role be more important than another? And for me, it's just kind of what I've always believed. And also, I just believe in treating people kindly and with empathy, because you never know what's happening in someone else's life. I personally, grew up in the daughter of an abusive alcoholic, and no one ever knew that. And I didn't really talk about it to very many people as a child. But again, looks can be deceiving. Anyone meeting me would never have known that, right? So again, I just am always treating people with empathy to the extent possible. I have my bad days, as we all do. But, I just think it's so important in life to really try to be your best self as much as you can.
Lauren, can I ask you a lawyer question?
Okay, and then
I'll do my best. Yes.
Do you want to go next, Rochelle, and then
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. I really just want to, probably his is a little more deep dive, but if I was a person who said I need a lawyer for something, would it be fair that I call up a few different firms and ask them, what are your values as a company and as a firm, and what can I expect from you?
Yes, you absolutely should. And also, you can interview individual lawyers to have them align with you. So, like, one of the things that I used to do as in-house counsel was, what's your representation of female partners? And if they didn't have sufficient female partners in the partnership, peace out. Like, I'm not working with you. Like, yeah, no, for sure. Because I'm sorry, like, in this day and age, if you don't have enough women partners at the top, like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, especially in privacy and healthcare, where there are so many female lawyers, like, hello, I'm one of them. Like, I'm not going to be mansplained in my own meeting because it's happened before. So that's one. Like, you can totally talk to anyone about their values. I mean, you may not get straight answers. You may get law firm fluff.
But that's a good answer.
But it's still a good answer because it's still data, right? And it's just like consulting, right? You can do the same thing with consultants. You can do the same thing with marketing. You should be asking every company you work with what their values are. I mean, I always say I shop with, like, I vote with my pocketbook. I shop with my pocketbook to my values, right? It's the same thing when you go to law firms. You should be using your values to spend your money.
Yeah, good.
Well, and my question was, when you go to law school, do they teach you a different language?
A little bit, yes. Now, depending on the law school you go to, you do, like, some law schools are more litigation based. Some law schools teach more to the state bar that you're in. So, like, I went to law school at Northwestern, shout out Wildcats. And it's, you know, I went to school in Illinois, but I took the bar in California. So, like, I had to do a little extra studying for the California bar because some of the things that I learned weren't specific to California bar. Whereas if I had gone to school in California at certain schools here, I would have been more familiar with certain California laws, if that makes any sense, which is fine.
It makes perfect sense, but because I got sued for $50,000, and I looked at the document that they presented me with,
and it was all legal jargon.
Well, every word meant something other than what I thought it meant.
My favorite are the notwithstanding, withstanding, notwithstanding, withstanding, and then you're like 5 in, and you're like, wait, which standing is this?
Oh my God.
Is it B? Is it F? I'm so confused. And no, I mean, in fairness, right, even lawyers have to reread things like multiple times. I don't want to tell you to use like various AI chatbots to like help you, but like, I'm going to tell you, send it to an AI chatbot, have it give a first read. 9 times out of 10, it will give you a decent overview of what the document is saying. And then you can use that to inform yourself of kind of what the document is generally saying. And then you can use that to like talk to your lawyer, like, hey, I understood this to say blah, blah, blah. I would never use it to give or get legal advice necessarily, but I will tell you, lawyers and law firms are starting to use AI more and more. They're in-house, like specific enterprise accounts, but AI is starting to be incorporated into the legal practice at a very, very like fast pace. And it's going to become like a very integrated part of the practice. So you might as well use it too.
Yeah.
Nowadays you can do that, but goes back.
Oh, this is old. Okay.
Yeah. Well, not old, like 10 years. Yeah. It's like not
5
old.
Years, 5 years. That's all.
It's an age story.
No, I didn't mean it that
way. It's like a fine wine. It's just a little, aged a little bit.
Well, AI is pretty new, and it's much more than we thought it would be. I'll give it that. But that is very good for people to have those kind of skills and tools, because like I could even picture myself being younger and trying to like type it all out to Google and to give me something to make it make sense. But me and Kevin talk about that all the time. Like, why can't they just talk normally? Like, he did this and this is what's happening,
You got to get, so Northwestern, 6 figures total, debt, you got to pay for something. So
That is true, I suppose.
and Lauren, my whole point here is to tell somebody, if you get sued by somebody and you find out that they have representation and you decide you're going to go in and do it yourself,
No.
you are the biggest fool I have ever met, because you will not survive.
No,
Because
you need to get legal representation. And, there are a lot of free resources out there. I spoke earlier about pro bono. There are free resources and free legal clinics out there that are there to help you if you really need the help. And you really should avail yourself of them, especially if it's a landlord-tenant case. I want to really and I'm a landlord, so I'm out there telling you, if you are a tenant and you're having a landlord-tenant case, there are really great resources out there that can help you to mediate your landlord-tenant dispute for free and really help you. So please get help, because it's there. And these services are incredible. I used to do free mediation for landlord-tenant cases in Illinois as part of my pro bono with Northwestern. It was a wonderful program. We helped so many people. And I know those same resources are available all over the country. I really encourage you to do that. And I'm sure there would have been some resources for you, Kevin, too, if you really needed them. I don't know exactly the same programs for other types of cases, but I do know there's lots of free legal clinics out there, like for tax preparation and things like that.
Well, and she went, the person who sued us, she went without a lawyer too, because she thought she was all that in a bag of chips.
Oh.
And so as it turned out, that we didn't even present a case. She presented her case, and then we stood up and asked for a dismissal, and they did with prejudice. So,
well, that's nice.
but my point there is, that took 2 years, and she just did it because she was being a butthead.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. That's awful.
But that happens. And by the way, we've been talking with Lauren Wu. Lauren, we love it. Rochelle, don't you love her energy and who she is?
Dude, I love your soul self, girl. I'll tell you that. And I really want to have you back on the show, because there's still so much we can learn about with how you talk about leadership and engagement through your life and what you've learned. And then also all this lawyer stuff. I've been through my own court cases in my 27 years, and there's so much I did not know until it was too late that maybe you could help us out with just a little bit more.
Well, first, I'd be honored to be back. Yeah. I am having the best time, and it would be so much fun to come back. And the hour has gone by so fast. It's like, yes, anytime.
And Lauren, I'm glad you're feeling better, and I wish you a complete and total recovery and a very long, fruitful life, and because you've got a lot more to give all of us here, and thank you for being who you are. And Rochelle, my darling, is going to take us out.
Yes. Well, thank you, Kevin, for making this day possible. We've had amazing conversations and met some of the most coolest people around town. Lauren Wu has been our guest, everybody. If you want to visit her website as we close out, heartledleadership.org is where to go. She is more than capable and also willing to help you. So reach out, and we hope you learned something. And until we see you tomorrow, have a great night, and we love you always.
And before I go, I just have to say this, Rochelle, you asked and I want Lauren's opinion too. Rochelle, you asked a couple of questions that I was sitting here going, damn, that's pretty smart. How did you get so smart?
The spark hit me somewhere in the middle of the day, so I got to show it here.
No, I loved it.
Thanks, Lauren, for creating that space too.
Oh, I'm all about safe spaces. This is great.
We can't wait to do it again. Thank you so much.
Have a great day, everybody. Thank you for being part of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, where stories inspire and voices remind us of what truly matters. May today's conversation give you hope, courage, and a reason to keep moving forward. And just remember, till next time, be kind to one another, because each other's all we've got.